stick and a bag on his shoulder, ito banana capra. So I am party of India. India, the Indian can ship on this slavery, bind together two races in unity. There was no more mother Africa, no more mother India, just mother Trinidad. My Mahuta planted sugar cane down in the Caroni plain. Ram Logan Basdale Prakashanai. Jahaji Pai, brotherhood and the boat. Jahaji Pai, brotherhood and the boat. Jahaji So it is a great privilege to have such unique heritage. 50% Africa, 50% India. India, I have no duty to holiday, emancipation and arrival day. Since Patel sacked me that journey, 150 years gone already. Whether you're Hindu, Muslim or Christian, let's walk this land hand in hand. We could only prosper if we try. Jahaji Pai, brotherhood and the boat. Jahaji Pai, brotherhood and the boat. Jahaji Pai, Umayeo, Zindaweo. I am the seed of my father. He is the seed of my grandfather, who is the seed of Bahut Aja. He came from Calcutta, a stick and a bag on his shoulder, ito banana capra. So I am party of India. India, the Indian can ship on this slavery, bind together two races in unity. There was no more mother Africa, no more mother India, just mother Trinidad. My Mahuta planted sugar cane down in the Caroni plain. Ram Logan Basdale Prakashanai. Jahaji Pai, brotherhood and the boat. Jahaji Pai, brotherhood and the boat. Jahaji Pai. That journey for I to have zindagi. So it is a great privilege to have such unique heritage. 50% Africa, 50% India. India, I have no duty to holiday, emancipation and arrival day. Since Patel sacked me that journey, 150 years gone already. Whether you're Hindu, Muslim or Christian, let's walk this land hand in hand. We could only prosper if we try. Jahaji Pai, brotherhood and the boat. Jahaji Pai, brotherhood and the boat. Jahaji Pai, Umayeo, Zindaweo, Umaye Zindaweo, Umayeo, Zindaweo, Umaye Zindaweo, Umayeo, Zindaweo. I know some of you
See who they will crown as lion champion. Liars from all parts of the West Indies. Big shot liars from all them foreign countries. From a feel about 1,000 or so entry. In 2 days, he boiled down and leave just 3. I had me eye on Liar the Lion, because I know he does come with some good ones. But they had a younger fella named Tebow, come from some village there in Tobago. He say his father is Tobago's best fisherman. Catch a fisherman wide 80 feet in span. He had to tighten the boat and swim back to land to get his brother Eric to give him a hand. You hear lie? That is lie. Lie? You hear lie?
Teacher Pussy say if you tell a lie, you're going to hell as soon as you die.
Why, sir? Check it out. Liar the lion, he laughed till he sweat. He said, Mr. Debo, ain't say nothing yet. If you really want to hear about fishing, let me blow your mind. Now listen to something. When you're talking about fish, you just hit the spot. I was hoping you did believe it or not. The fish your father caught, to you it was great, but it's them small fish my father does use for bait. Lion went ahead on points in the show, completely eliminated Mr. Debo. The next man to beat was really outrageous. He asked the judges if he could lie first. The judges asked Lion. The Lion agreed. Say any topic will pick is alright with me. He outrageous, I strong. Let we meet head on. And when we done, see who head fit to wear the crown. You hear lie? That is lie. Lie? You hear lie?
Teacher Pussy say if you tell a lie, you're going to hell as soon as you die.
Let it go. Let it go. Shook it up. Yep. The outrageous say that he knew a tailor comes to making suit. The man is the master. If you show him a man coming wrong a corner, he could make him a suit and don't even measure. A talking about suit, sitting down correct, expertly made and fitting perfect. He used to sew for Shakespeare, make suit for Hamlet, and up to this day yet make a mistake yet. You know the crowd went wild, they couldn't cool down. I say liar, the lion to the ground. They just brought the crowd back to order and asked the lion to lie about a tailor. Say my man is the best, Rolf is his name. Cutting cloth, making suit is his game. Don't show him the man, my tailor is fast. Just show him the corner where the tailor pass, and he gon' make a suit. That is tailor, you hear lie? Thing liar.
Teacher Pussy say if you tell a lie, you're going to hell as soon as you die.
Wake up, wake up, lay up, move it up. There you go.
As he considers whether to more trouble for Rowley as he should several recommendations.
Teacher Pussy say if you tell a lie, you're going to hell as soon as you die.
To prevent the publication of controversial Rowley Fitzgerald
Teacher Pussy say if you tell a lie.
Was made by Justice Devinder Rampersad on Friday. Griffith has sued the PM and his ministers, as well as retired police officers Wellington Virgil, Raymond Craig, and Leonard Charles, who formed part of the audit team. Rampersad also granted Griffith permission to pursue his judicial review claim against the Nine for setting up the audit committee to investigate the firearms unit of the police and depriving him of justice, while also considering laying the report in Parliament. Rowley and the others will have to appear before the judge on November 9th, when he will consider whether to grant the injunction Griffith has asked for. The former top cop also wants the court to order the PM and his ministers to disclose the names of the members of the audit committee and grant declarations that the decision to commission the report infringed his rights and was illegal, unlawful, and irrational, since they did not have the power to appoint the committee. Griffith is also asking for the quashing of the report or any part of it that concerns him. The injunction he is asking for seeks to prevent the report from being published or laid in Parliament. Griffith, who served as police commissioner from 2018 August 2021, is represented by senior counsel Avery Sananan and Larry Lala. He said from his experience as a former national security minister he knows neither the Prime Minister nor the National Security Council had the authority to appoint anyone to investigate the operations of the police service, so he was concerned about the legality of the appointment of the Audit Committee. He also says he is concerned that the contents of the report and the process used by the committee were irretrievably tainted by bad faith and illegality because the Prime Minister has no power to appoint such a committee, and because of statements Dr. Rowley made after Griffith announced the launch of his political party and his decision to reapply to be top cop. Griffith also fears publication of the report or any part of it would expose him to public ridicule and, if laid in Parliament, would protect Rowley and the media by qualified or absolute privilege from defamation claims for damages. The former top cop contends he was the target of the audit because of the timing of the appointment of the audit team. In my respectful view, the committee being appointed in November 2021 and I having left office of COP in August 2021, the investigations of the committee were directly relevant to and necessarily involved the manner in which I would have exercised my discretion and discharged my functions under the Firearms Act during the time that I held the office of the COP. More trouble for Rowley as he and several of his ministers are expected to appear before a High Court judge next month as he considers whether to grant an injunction to former Police Commissioner Gary Griffith to prevent the publication of the controversial Firearm Users License (FUL) audit report in Parliament. The order for Dr. Rowley, former Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi, Ministers Fitzgerald Hines, Coleman Byrd, Stuart Young, and Marvin Gonzalez to appear in court was made by Justice Devinder Rampersad on Friday. Griffith has sued the PM and his ministers, as well as retired police officers Wellington Virgil, Raymond Craig, and Leonard Charles, who...
Yes, indeed. Pleasant good night to all and sundry after. Wow, I tell you me, it was a horrendous, it was a challenging, it was a frightening, it was an exercise that would have put anybody in a state of trepidation. That the program itself might have been, of course, unavoidably delayed in terms of its transmission and the daily programs that we would have had. Thank God there's a God. And of course, there are persons who, of course, have come to the rescue of the corridor transformation, because I was in total streaks yesterday. Because, of course, we had no audio. I couldn't even, of course, attempt to maybe alert you. But I did try by way of issuing some bulletins on at least Facebook. I don't know if that got to some of you. But of course, I know people will be calling this morning and calling. Yes, well, I am back. The corridor transformation is back. And we have a lot, of course, to talk about, a lot to expose, a lot to address. Because the latest, of course, is Dr. Rowley's madness. I believe I should, of course, address that madness, that lunatic, that ranting madman. At yesterday's, of course, press conference. I mean, it is unbelievable. It is ineffable, inexplainable, and of course, it is enigmatic. It is a total and absolute puzzle and mystery. That Dr. Rowley would, of course, address nothing that the population is deeply concerned about, but except, of course, to give himself praise. And to say that somehow because of his presence and his miscreants' presence and his band of thieves' presence, and in the face of a depleted treasury from 10 billion to 6, when he was speaking yesterday, you could swear that the reserves in the country is about $20 billion US are talking about. That is the impression the man gave. And of course, I know that those persons outside of Trinidad and Tobago, having been, of course, regaled with the truth, because, of course, any person in the absence of the evidential and the tactile and irrefutable evidence would believe that Trinidad and Tobago is a paradise. This man has gone off his rocks. So he does not know that the treasury of Trinidad and Tobago, when he got it in 2015, had over $10 billion in reserves. He doesn't know that. And even though he was claiming that, listen, he and his miscreants are the best thing since sliced bread, that Trinidad and Tobago is not disgraced, not cursed, but in his own warped and, of course, convoluted and, of course, lunatic disposition, it says that we are making money, and if it wasn't for him going to the boardrooms of this one and that one and justifying, of course, those excessive trips all over the world, you would believe that he had no use for property tax. He had no use, therefore, for the increase in electricity rates and water rates coming, etc., etc., etc. I mean, the man is a total lunatic, and we must accept that once and for all, and know that when he gets out of office, there must be attached to some what I consider to be prison facility, a mental asylum where Rowley could be treated with his in his last days. In his last days, the man is totally out of touch with reality. It's a classic case of what is considered to be manic depressive psychosis. Manic depressive psychosis. The man is a clear case, a case study. Never ever could have Trinidad and Tobago contemplate, perceive that such a madman could be, of course, at the highest office in the country. But of course, we attempted, including Manning, he having, of course, brought this lunatic under the shoulders, but on the necks of the country, so that we are in a state of collective want for breath, want for air. In other words, we are in a collective asphyxiated environment. Let me say, of course, one time, and my apology for last night, and of course it was due clearly that one, circumstances beyond my control. I want to say that up front. I want to also say, of course, that share, we have to make up for last night. Share, friends and family, and anybody else. I want to also say, of course, that our Christmas hamper initiative continues and toy drive continues. I want to tell you as well that those persons whose birthday is today and maybe yesterday as well, or for this month altogether, happy birthday prior and happy birthday belated. The fact of the matter is that we have a job to do, that we have a madman, clearly a certified madman in office, and globe-trotting all over the place, wise crime and criminality, and all of the things that he is delusionarily talking about, totally disconnected to reality. We could have no enjoyment of it. We could have no happiness if the crime continues to escalate as they have consecutively, with, of course, just one breach. I think it was in 2019, the record of a previous PNM administration started to be broken by the Rowley administration. All the hogwash he spoke, all of the diatribe that he spoke, all of the delusions that he, of course, he has engulfed himself in. Because when you look at the audience, the journalistic audience, they seem to be in a state of daze, a flummox, and they're wondering if it is that Rowley has lost touch with himself. That is the impression I got from the journalists that assembled there. Of course, he wouldn't want people like myself and of course people like Mr. Amar to, of course, quiz him. So he gets, of course, his playpen, so to speak, and the madman Ramage. He started, of course, with his boardroom encounter that created emptying of Puglissas. You know what I say? He started with his boardroom in Texas, etc., and in negotiations, because somehow he believes, whether by serendipity or by chance or by because of attrition over the years and circumstances change, he believes that he could fit those evil, wicked, diabolical, maladministrative and misappropriated conduct in terms of policies, program, initiative, and of course the raiding of the treasury. He believed that he could fit that into the new circumstance of the country, consequential of external forces, and had nothing to do with him. In other words, he capitalizes like a political kobo. Let me repeat. He capitalizes like a political kobo, picking on the political remains or carcass that hardly has any meat, everything dry up. But he picks on that because Ukraine, Russia, in other words. Then we have, of course, the situation where the demand for energy by the European Union. He then takes that as a new situation, and coming out of COVID, and not for one moment focusing on the disaster that he has created while we were in the jaws of COVID and coming out of COVID, and trying to tell us that one of the reasons why our gas that we don't have, far less to export, we don't have for domestic consumption, far less to export, to be utilized at our Point Lisa's facility, whether in the form of raw material or as a energy source. He is telling us that there's some people in some quarters, something similar to when he said that there was this report by UE that the children were using laptops to play games and of course view videos of a pornography nature. Yes, pornography, and cut out the laptops. Now he brings back the laptops and has not taken the time, which of course is expected, the time to tell us, well, have these children stopped viewing pornography and they have stopped viewing games? Is it that why he was able to bring it back? No, he will not. The man is a totally mad fella. He's a lunatic, a parasite, a criminal, a evil, a total blight, and a total curse. He is the existential threat to the government. And when I say government, I'm talking about the system, not the government which he leads, but the state, in other words, of Trinidad and Tobago. He is the existential threat. The man is totally toxic. He is septic, and he presides over a whirlpool of corruption, or should I say a cesspool of corruption and corrupted individuals. Look them there. That is members of his cabinet. Those are members of his cabinet coming up on the screen. And you must know them, because we are going to evaluate every single one of them and their respective portfolios, and to demonstrate to you how incompetent, how impotent, and how, of course, ineffective they have been over the last 8 years. And what I gleaned from his statement yesterday, he does not want to leave office. He's not prepared to call early elections. That much I gleaned from his statement, because he's talking about future still. So we know, so we have to turn on the pressure and to make certain that he understands that he's on his way out, in spite of his recalcitrance and his illusionary propagation that somehow he is doing well, and that the government, in fact, I think he turned it into we owe him a debt of gratitude. Let me see if I could get that interview in part yesterday, because of course we also have to look. I decided to focus on that part with respect to to crime and criminality. But let's go straight to the line. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Hey, Lennox Smith. Pleasant good night to you and everybody on the line.
Same to you.
Pleasant good night. I get it in here. You want me to send a film still?
Which is that? We could talk, or we could talk on or we could, or you want to?
Yeah, that's the thing for the pocket tax. So I tell you one more.
Yes, send it, because we did play the guy who, one of the guys, but send it because we need to show it up. We need to make them understand what time it is. Yes, send it, please. Yes, you got it.
All right.
Yeah. Okay then. That's it.
Just her. Yeah. Not gonna listen.
Yes, indeed, my friend. Yeah. So, once again, of course, I cannot overemphasize our apology for not being around. I want to thank Cuff. Words cannot express my deep appreciation for him coming last night. He was with me, of course, remotely, of course, not that late, but he was with me remotely, doing his thing. And then, of course, just before, that is why we are a bit late. Certain things weren't happening, and I had to, of course, in emergency move, call him so that we could at least have a program tonight. Let me say once again, of course, that level of commitment, dedication, I think is very rare. It's very rare. And while, of course, I am not looking for any kind of what one may consider to be fame or far less a fortune, because the fortune in this is my money that is spending. But of course, I appreciate and thank all of those who would be making contributions from time to time, whether it's $100, whether it's $50, whether it's $200, $500, etc. I want to thank all who have made their contributions to making sure that we have a nightly program. And of course, from time to time, we will have some disappointments, but all in all, I think we have been making the waves. We are on YouTube, and we are on, of course, Facebook, and we will soon be loading up short versions, of course, on the TikTok and Instagram and other platforms, simply, of course, to make certain that we get the message out there, because the next mission is to, of course, communicate with the world leaders, indicating that there is a madman in the office of Prime Minister in Trinidad and Tobago called Keith Christopher Rowley, a total lunatic, if there is one. And of course, I want to focus tonight as far as that lunacy is concerned, which is, of course, his exclamation that the police must not interact with the criminal elements to generate any peace. But like the ostrich, he did know that Hines went and do the very same thing that he proclaimed no one must do. And what do you do to a man like that? Because Hines said that he, Rowley, was aware that he went to Bad Street and was making rounds in East Port of Spain, talking and entreating the criminal elements ostensibly to put up gun, but that to me is a classic exemplification of what Rowley said ought not to happen. And while the police has the responsibility, and while he accepted the fact that the police can, if they wish, interact, because they have of course a lot of police clubs, so therefore that sort of side of the police has always been, and he is so foolish, Rowley, why of course making the statement that the police must not act as some kind of what I consider to be pulpit boo-boo. Yes, a pulpit boo-boo, not a pulpit bully, a pulpit bully, not that, a pulpit boo-boo. He was of course saying that in his days, when a fella was misbehaving in the village, they will take that person to the police station and the sergeant will give him a good tongue lashing. But yesterday he is saying, and he read the attack, that anybody and this and that, not that he can do anything about it, but it's part and parcel of his rantings and ravings because the man has gone totally mad. Let me see if we can capture that unfortunate situation that spells not just continued disaster for Trinidad and Tobago once that fella is in office, but I am very, 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 very concerned as to the government itself, its status and its ability to manage Trinidad and Tobago's challenges up until elections is constitutionally due in 2025.
I want to ask the national community
to
focus on what is sensible and to ignore the foolishness of those who claim to be parliamentarians in our country, but whose job it is to mislead and worse, to undermine the national effort. So please do not let anybody, especially self-serving parliamentarians in Trinidad and Tobago, tell you. I want to ask the persons among the international conversation is the Jim Deram and the community radio for the Goodwill newspapers, and they write all kinds of unsolicited advice. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask you all to just ignore these idiots, to mislead and worse, to undermine and focus in supporting the efforts of the government that is trying to ensure that there's blood in our veins and our arteries in the months and years ahead. And come and telling me now that I must accomplish to them when I travel. I have come to the people of Trinidad and Tobago because it is your business that I'm after. It's not your business that I'm after.
So wait, let's pause here a bit. We have a system of government called representative government, a democracy, right? And what it simply means is that instead of 1.5 million people going to a place or a huge savannah that may not be able to hold all of us to discuss matters of a national nature, we have adopted a concept called representative democracy or representative democratic government. It simply means that one person out of, in our case, the 41 seats or 41 constituencies will represent the 20,000 or so that is in each constituency, and therefore represent the 1.5 million people that comprise the population of Trinidad and Tobago, including of course not just adults but also of course the younger folks. That is the system. Rowley is saying that he therefore has no responsibility to call or to account to the other members, the other 40 elected representative in his representative system of government. He has no obligation to them. He goes straight to the people. What an ass! What a nincompoop! What a fellow who clearly has lost his morals. What an obtuse individual. What a depraved individual. What a man who has arrogated of himself a position unknown to the Constitution, unknown to you and I, and justifies it in that press conference only yesterday by saying that is why he appointed himself as the salesman for Trinidad and Tobago, because he has in one fell sweep, without our consent, changed the Constitution, and he is saying he does not have a proclivity, a propensity to be a dictator. Well, if there is any indication or any conduct that can be ascribed or described or characterized as dictatorial, it has to be that. What an ass! How could he say that he's talking to the people when we have a representative democracy? What is he saying? That is why you will understand that tonight's exercise is about probably losing his malice, and that he is the potential lunatic, a political lunatic that has totally degenerated, and his cognitive, intellectual, and cerebral decline is a marked one. In fact, what I can say categorically is that he exhibits that Latin expression, non compos mentis. He exhibits a medical state, if you want to call it that, a state that those is back in Roman times called non compos mentis. It means of unsound mind. Unsound mind. You cannot tell me that this is a representative government and you want to ignore the opposition who have 19 seats. They have 19 seats, people. That is a treasure trove for any democracy where a opposition is so powerful. You only have 22 seats, and you say, well, you don't want to talk to the opposition, or you do not want to account to the people through the elected representative. He has been an elected representative. He couldn't get there without being elected or going through the process. That ass. I have to tell it as it is. It is about time that we understand the level of iniquity and the level of dotage and the level of insanity that is, of course, prevailing as prime minister and government ministers in this country. And of course, you must listen to what this man said, man. It is offensive. It is obnoxious. It is simply unacceptable.
I'm trying to show his blood will be no arteries in one day's head. I'm going to tell you that I come to them, my child. I have come to the people of Trinidad today because it's not business around. It's not I will fail. It's that the people of Trinidad today will fail. And that is why I have given it the number one priority. Number one. To ensure that we do not fail. That is why today, the Federal Service to Tobago from Trinidad is about the best in the world.
First and foremost, I argue that there was no need to change any ferry at the phenomenal cost to us today. First and foremost, Rowley. Secondly, you caused the destruction of the sea bridge to and from Tobago. You send up the Galicia. You send up those who were maintaining those two ferries, the Spirit and the Express, the Spirit and the Express. You caused them not to be paid. You know what he said in Tobago recently? In an attempt, of course, to justify and to generate self-aggrandizement. He said so many other different things as he normally would do about this. Because he could have been Tobago. Listen,
when I travel,
I got ferries when they were on the last legs, when they were about like shooting star to just explode or to become dysfunctional.
Business that I'm after.
Yeah, that's what he told them.
I will fail.
That is what he told them. And mind you, that is on top of what he told an interview about his first 5 years. What he said is that a Tobagonian is in office, so people are saying that they haven't benefited in Tobago. What will be your response? And the question was 2 part, 3 part, because also included. And what would have been, of course, your greatest regret? You know what he said? Don't get vexed before I play. You know. Don't get me vexed before I play, because those spokespersons and psychopaths and just talk show hawks. They would not, of course, tell you that. It's not a job to tell you. They want to defend the indefensible. But let me tell you what he said. He said if he had any regrets as far as Tobago is concerned, was sending back, of course, Bayferries. Bayferries, of course, is the engineering company that was maintained those for over 5 years under the Kamala Prasad Bisasa administration, and before that under the mining administration. Yeah, that's son of a gun. That's son of a gun. That's what he said. And comes yesterday and elated himself and everybody who's done, including the whole national and international and regional audience. See some kind of charismatic and international statesman. That is what he is now. Destroyed everything Trinidad, and now going, of course, to make Trinidad and Tobago fools on the international stage. He a consummate backside.
That's one of the best ferries in the world. Running back and forth between Trinidad.
Yeah, right. Have you ever run on those ferries? Well, I can tell you, the seats are not reclining. It's the best way. One of the best in the world. The seats are not reclining. Right? So you can't feel comfortable. And the ambassador, at least I traveled, I believe, is on the is not on that one, but the other one. Let me say that the other one, the Boko Reef. I traveled on that one, and when I look at to recline, I'm straight. And when I look at say, well, all right, the place became cold, so I will, of course, rest my arm on the warm armchair. Guess what? It's a metal arm. So making your hand even more cold. Except, of course, you have a sheet or something and you put it between yourself and the armrest. That is what he's calling the best. And I suspect, not only because it is cheaper, it would have been cheaper to first provide a substandard ferry, but I think that is the kind of a fella who would say that Trinidad and Tobago is better. So he knows he's confident that it is the best. Fast he knows. You go to any one of the metropolitan countries and you see reclining and you see very padded and comfortable and chairs on and so forth. But he's claiming that. Well, I say to you, take your boat and them and go. Take your boat and go. You have done us no favor. Because the Spirit and the Express were supposed to be still running. Is you went into the ground to go and buy some bogus boats, and that is one of the best in the world. Only you alone know that. The man is totally a lunatic. As I said, whatever matter that he will have necessarily to account to the people for, and there must be some kind of department next to the prison cell for the what I consider to be the serial sociopath that Rowley is. A total lunatic, mad, in the highest office in the country, executive, with our money and our resources and our money. And mind you, just as everything else, as the body say, that going abroad and talking to this one and that is very secondary, should I say primary to the interests of Trinidad and Tobago. He don't mind going there because he has the opportunity to go, and it is clear, because if he was conscious that his program and his travels were excessive, then he would have told us so, because of how he criticized Kamala and travels. So you know that it's just a part of the cost and a bit of huge piece of hypocrisy. Good night. Welcome to the corridor.
You are check your live.
Huh? Yes, I notice it here too. It's going slow here. That is something I'll have to reboot. So, but that's what we have to wait until later on. Alright, so yeah. Okay, yes. Yes, indeed. So that's the situation that we are in. But let's continue with his magnet. Yes, seeing the static on the screen. So really having some problem.
We are not on the U.S. sanction against Venezuela. We are negotiating an operational license now. These are not short issues. And the successes of a government that spends its time responding to the undermining efforts of an opposition that has nothing.
No. How we reach this stage, with respect, of course, to the license, it's clear. There were circumstances beyond America's control. Worse yet, Trinidad and Tobago's control. Worse yet, Venezuela's control. That has caused Americans to ease up on the sanction and issue licenses. That's it. You don't have to understand that. America cannot provide all of the energy needs of Europe, a whole continent, with some of the largest economies in the world and consumption of energy. So obviously, in their interests, they are going to find ways and means to appease friends across the Atlantic. And Trinidad and Tobago is not even a cog, a speck in that maelstrom of wanted, of course, to satisfy the Americans, to satisfy the friends in Europe. And we, thankfully, and at any rate, whether he was there or anybody else, we would have gotten that blind. Because I would say, well, no matter who was there, the Americans would have sanctioned Venezuela for what the Maduro administration has been doing to people. The fact of the matter is that we have always been talking with respect to cross-border and utilization of energy resources that are on that side of the border. We always knew that Manning, Kamala, and now it's his turn. What is unique about that? The only thing that is unique is that he has been capitalizing on circumstances, but on their own natural negotiating ability. Waste of time, and don't tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. Because Sandals is a classic example. Nobody came in between him and Sandals. Sandals was supposed to provide Trinidad and Tobago when they would have completed their construction and bigger project, $500 million. It was $500 million. And what is it today? There was no internet. Nobody talked. And even if there were naysayers, it's just as how he's talking now about the fact that the naysayers, we were able, of course, to negotiate. Just as talking there, you know, he's talking so with the Sandals. One just has to say, I'm lucky that Europe had been put into a crisis because of the invasion by Russia into Ukraine. But that's no favor. And laying claim for that, it reminds me of his claim when he first came into government. He read a biography from Mason to Whitehall, and there was no Whitehall existing at the time. Whitehall was under standing for repair. It was on the repair, it was standing for repair. It was shut down the building. Yeah, money had to use the Twin Towers, the Electoral Twin Towers for his office, and so did office as well with him. But he says from Mr. Whitehall, because he wants to revise and revisit, he does lie so that he lying to himself, by himself, and of himself. I mean, the simplicity. Well, let's go ahead.
And for you to dispose them in particular on a regular basis and stay with you for long hours, ensuring that you are party to what is happening in the government. This is not something I'm accustomed to. That has been the hallmark of my administration. I have stood before you for more hours.
A bold claim, but let's go straight to the lights. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Yes, good night to you. Good night to you, my friend. Good night to you.
Your order of singer, you know, some good at all.
All right.
Yeah, give him some trouble. Break it up like.
Okay.
You're sounding like you're underwater in Aquaman.
Thank you very much. Well, good doing. It's a test boy. Last couple of hours have been very, 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 very good. And let me see, I don't know what I have to do, but yes.
I thought ripping foam, you say ripping apart everybody and talking all the kind of shit. I'm gonna see like so. He went out in elaborate form in Gary, good enough. And he said he put a man to do all these things which measures of spectacular. Well, I don't know what he said, what he said. Because the legislature prime minister, he's an enormous failure, a magnanimous failure, a gigantic failure.
Yes.
And because the next one, the minister of finance, he's not what they call this, a bill or engineer or something like that. They put it to finance in the finance ministry, and he's a monumental.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
8 years in this country, and they have been a phenomenal failure. They beat back hands down, right? But he is the one that updated. That's why he's saying about the man. Like next time that former boss is mentioned, the moment you oppose my country because I didn't vote,
Yes.
anybody opposed this man, you see that's like this. You should have come with the temperature in his job. The pool. They mentioned Harry to him. The man is just like a character. He told us this man.
He was on that trend yesterday, but we will be that tomorrow. But I just want to deal with crime back because it is significant because of the nature of the crime situation and the occupation of people's minds.
These cannot blame people, and they want to blame everybody but themselves, you know. Then bring down and podium and all kind of different things down here. And all kind of. So you can like honorable says they eat shrimp and drink all kind of things. And people make nothing other than say that automatic is a weapon. That's what they want to know. And they're banning of automatic weapon. They're banning the automatic weapon, but how it's still coming here? It's fine. Truly, we come to these people that are really looking middle of the themselves. If they're in the opposition now, because if you had a state and you don't want to meet for any crime, so what to do? They're serious. That's right. You will find yourself to believe the opposition there, and she on the right here. That's so we have discussed. But we saw from the beginning when he said symposium that they didn't do opposition. So why make me talk about opposition over there and people talking? Then they get the point for he doesn't know the reason. And that's the thing. They talk about they are responsible for it. That's what their responsibility.
That's right.
They can't have nobody, no opposition, but they can't have a straight time between the capital state and prosperity. That's what they're doing. They do one that causing all criminal action, all the criminal action that people is because of the PNM. Nobody else there. Right? So they have to own up for that. And the fact they get out of the family people go get because I can see that's not more and more of that with them in power because they're heartless.
Right. The existential, the present threat to Trinidad as a state, as a society, as an economy, as a body of people looking with own place in a very competitive world. Is Rowley and his government. There is no doubt about it. Only those who refuse to see, because even the minorities, only those who refuse to see will of course come to tolerate that and see something different. And of course, today on the ground report, for example, we have called on the society and religious and faith-based organizations to lend their voice to this the travesty that is Rowley and the government. And he could beat it just as much as he wants. The fact is that he still refused to acknowledge that, speak to himself at his conferences, claim that somehow he is talking to the nation and nobody really wants to listen to him and his rhetoric and his hogwash and his of course except for to say when you be calling so that you could get out, we could put you out of the misery, because clearly the man at this stage when you're talking to the people themselves are in a state of the stage of adversity. The man is sick and of course he's a total lunatic. Let's continue with the piece of businesses. Go ahead.
You see, is talking about it? One question, you know. When Kamala was in power, they trying to somebody to thing over their mouth.
I have a problem with that when there's a need for speaking out because of the Rowley administration and the pay, the aid, the grant, and the displacement that has actualized this administration. How could you tell us yesterday that you make so much money and because of the negotiation, but you're focusing on property tax and electricity? He's an ass. Who will believe that?
After saying before you were in opposition, I'm not going to
needs to be said for those who refuse to accept the fact that they are totally toxic, they are evil, they're diabolical, and they are ready to release a spool for return. Yes, thank you.
Because all they remember when I say, if you put down the other ball, but they don't have to the other ball, they say she says about
yeah, but they will always and it's all a case of righteous indignation because they see others which they will do, and you've seen it, whether it be business, whether it be getting the pushback movement, whether it be a member of the movement, and we can go on into that high-handed and not hand abuse of public office by these cowards. They're very hollow.
Yes, in time, yes, and also this was also that's all right, that's probably right. We need pass on the yes. This is the running.
That's they are becoming extinct. I think people with a true sense of nationalism, patriotism, and consciousness will certainly, of course, reject those kinds of overthoughts where you ask for 30 pieces of silver to allow to your children born and unborn, and therefore that is a consideration, that is a critical factor that faces every single Tobagonian, and we must, of course, we know that the only solution to this problem is to get rid of that bunch of immigrants. I'm saying that, but the conscience will put them as well, because they can't go to sleep comfortable knowing that the rate is what it is, and Rowley has no solution, even though he claimed to be the solution man. We call people from us, and therefore they return to their respective domains. But we are swarming with murders and crime and criminality. The police, of course, is out of their wit, etc. Yeah.
I think plenty are going to sleep with a good conscience when they are the bank, but I don't know. I think so. Because a lot of people are blind and deaf.
Not even that. I beg to differ. I don't believe so, because if it's me, for example, I put myself in that situation, knowing at the back of my mind that of course I'm depriving people, but thousands of persons couldn't find a meal today, or would have gone to bed with one meal alone, and I am, eating from the treasury, so to speak, from the head of the fountain. Few of us, I don't think. I'm not saying that they would not continue. They will take it, yes, but I think their conscience, that's a different ball game, a kettle of fish altogether.
You cannot be last way. That's how much are these people here.
Yeah.
You're doing anything. You're trying to yourself.
Thank you very much.
Have a good night.
Yes, same to you, my friend. Thank you. So it's good to engage, and of course to bring different perspective on the issues that are today. As I said, of course, I will give a little respond to Dr. Rowley, because he did take a pot shot as usual, because he believed that it's maligning the opposition will give him electoral success. But we know anything successful around Dr. Rowley is always plagued, is always saturated, is always, should I say, I like to use it to pick up with some kind of deceitful, not wanting to play fair, and shifting the post in his favor. And therefore, who tell us that he's not in the police, he's not in with the incompetence, he has not instituted, of course, and all the usual hogwash we know. He has been of course engaged in, and is now well known. His modus operandi is known to all, especially those who are willing of us to take note.
Are we satisfied with supporting the cabinet and cabinet plans while engaged in very large issues successfully? But of course, the fact is not without honor.
So he is claiming, that statement, he is claiming
of a minority
that on self-praise has done so much that the cliche, the item that a prophet is homeland is not being praised. So I suppose from the natural corollary of that is that the outside team, as the best thing since sliced bread, he will be surprised as well. The same as a buffoon, the same as a utility, the same as the bully pulpit of the Caribbean, that he's prepared to go and embarrass Trinidad and Tobago by being the fall guy for the rest of the Caribbean. He don't mind that, and he will come back here and tell us that he was on the international stage rooting for Trinidad and Tobago, but clearly always have to say that for CARICOM, because CARICOM gave him that leverage. But what you notice in all of the conferences, for example, if he went to that final day, it was because a small island prime minister could not have joined in that final press conference coming out of the CARICOM Canada summit. Not he was the first, and you saw in of course Australia as well, he was not the top gun there. No. So no, even as it was his turn to speak at MTS, my large MTS, you're not people. Man, he would have been posting up, and the whole world was Trinidad and telling us that Trinidad is punching above the weight. But that is only his illusion. We know differently. We know that we're fools that had money, Guyana, for example, and telling us that the relationship between Trinidad has never been done. So he's saying that the founding father, Williams, in his days, or even to make a little closer than me, even Manning, when Manning was a president to the godfather of the Caribbean, because he lent and he was contributing to the floods in New Orleans. So much so that the members had to say no need for you to assess that very much. But he always said his presence and over the 8 years has been the best cooperative regional entity, because he was around. And the man is pathetic, man is illusionary. He wanted one clout for his stupidity. Tell me which street committee is the the name one after money. The Vincentian Prime Minister and the people of that particular incident named was a community after money because of the assistance that provided them. And they can't tell you that you want anything better than they do it for recognition. But he said for himself and telling us as if we are living in a different century and on a different planet. Matter of fact, different planets. To give us that kind of hogwash. Something similar to what was he wrote for the doctorate. And he got, I mean, nothing is genuine. He has fake, false, and pseudo.
Who believe that I should pay the country, remain engaged in fighting criminal elements in Trinidad today. And that remains high priority. We direct significant resources, increased resources, state focus, and support of police service. An agency that under law has the responsibility for responding to potential and criminal conduct and also responding to labor as called for the conduct. Having said that, I saw your news today and I heard the conversation this morning. This whole question of achieving peace with criminals. I think my position very clear. And the position of the government traveling to be.
Yes.
And the position of the government traveling to be. Gang warfare is gang activity, is criminal conduct. As a matter of fact, it is criminal conduct that spawns the identification of gang leader, gang warfare, gang peace or gang war. The Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago understands this and has allotted significant amount of parliament effort to codify the law, to allow the law enforcement in Trinidad and Tobago to respond to criminal conduct identified as gang activity. I refer specifically to the anti-gang laws. And notwithstanding the fact that the police is required to speak to every citizen in this country if the police sees it fit, whether you are an abusing husband, a delinquent parent, on the Truancy Act or otherwise, the police will speak to you and the police will speak to you. What the police is not going to be asked to do is to negotiate any abridgment of the law of Trinidad and Tobago that applies to any aspect of criminal conduct. And I say no more on that.
The building was now large and being used in ways that will not protect.
You heard what I said, but the Minister of National Security, I just said, and giving him certain, making certain overtures. Of course, I got to note that people are asking what has happened to the action with the letter. I want to tell you that the lawyers that are looking at dotting eyes and crossing T's are there, but they're looking at another development that is taking place with another minister. So you have two with one. It's just a matter of time. Have a little patience. It is coming. It is coming. I never say something that I don't know, because I want to do it in a way that there should be no repercussions for me. Up to the way the objective will be realized. But first, already 7 minutes past 10. I know that some static on the. I just wanted, of course, to be complete of the Rowley, because I see when the police, the Minister of National Security, of course, they make deal with a criminal element in the bad street area. It is supposed to be.
I put the secretary as I told the Prime Minister, he said on the street, if I never get into that, these are the opportunities that any better people, and it will not be like that. I was looking at something against it, and I was well, I was Sunday,
no, Sunday, no answer, in fact. Is it that the Minister of the Money Administration, and of course, the Wilson and the Dancing, and of course, fraternizing, as well as accommodating and servicing, of course, elements that will wreak havoc across the country. Well, listen to the Minister of National Security saying that Rowley second. Oh, Rowley is aware, he's there, but Rowley earlier, we didn't even I don't know who, but it's a case of, like I say, I don't know what I do. Oh, you see others that to do. Let's see it.
I appreciate that. And you don't make more that many of you would come to hear what God said. So I said you, I don't even know about it. I saw some video that went viral, I showed 6 or 7 young men from our community. Everyone professional about fire, bring what we have to do something. You don't know what I'm saying. I was sad as a man for them, like with you. I said to myself, you can't be like a father to see myself like that. And the lawyer, I can tell you, what the injury was, what the you was good. Then a year after the injury, that was the decision. I want you to know what to do.
Well, I want to tell you that yesterday, a young man died from gunshot wounds that he got afflicted about 2 weeks ago. He died. And guess what? No one so far as the organization is concerned, he died afterwards. It's not okay. See, what they do, if people did immediately from the wound that they suffer, whether it's from gunshot or some other source, that is not called any bullet statistics, and they feel comfortable about that. But it's our job, a duty, to let you know the damage and the decrease in the increase. I don't care how much. But there is quoting elements. The very serious moment. At first, it's a image, and as someone who is elusive, imaginary, abstract, ghost, that's phantom, real attack. Saying that your policy is not engaged. So listen nice. Isn't that inducement, encouragement? And why National Security Minister, why not some element of one of the agencies that are responsible for interacting with these young people from the Ministry of Community Development, Ministry of Social Development, Ministry of Sports, etc.? Why is Minister of National Security among who is in charge of our security and protecting us from those elements that he's to appease this promising and promising? Because when he says the function of the Basel Street Community Center, he needs contract. I don't need contract for him.
I asked the minister's excuse to be accused of it to be here today. You come here today to offer you opportunity. I come here to let you know we are prepared to work with you. I want the leader to say is.
But a Sunday,
because I know it's going to get to the week for you. Get the one week, but now it is something like you. But that's not. It has to change. And that is why I'm not going to take my today. But I'm going to the street. I'm going to take my lead. I'm going to the next street. I'm going to the office. I'm going to use the police. I'm going to use the popularity.
You hear that? I'm shocked. On the seat. That's the of national security. When he first came into the ephemeral as well as previous incarnation of the minister talking about the ministry of utilities, and petrol line alloys, the various alloys, that's right, in the first office of the individual. Then he said, listen, he might be downgraded or degraded because the ship sailing on the ocean. And he don't know promotion. That was suddenly he's grateful only for the position and the protection because it's incompetent, and that is what the very thing police said yesterday. He did that when he came first as Minister of National Security, and the names that he mentioned and the justice that he talked about, he's a you know, twist along the street, I shoot 2 weeks ago, it's so long, days ago. That is the level of evil that we have in the office of Prime Minister and of course as National Security Minister, and the theatres and the strengths of Rowley must not be naked exposed. Because he said, when you that he's there, and that he's prepared because the taking along the criminals, Sunday, as well as the other one mentioned. Let's say him again, let's be first misrepresent.
In a meeting with Prime Minister, I asked the Prime Minister to be accused of meeting to be here today. You have not yet taken an opportunity. I thought I here to let you know we are prepared to work with you. I want the leader for the Sundays to take our decision without eating. Because
the minister of security
but no need to be done. But that's not. It has to get. And that's why I want to my son today. I went to the street. I went to the lead.
So he knows that can send up.
I want them to use their leadership, and I want them to use their popularity.
Leadership popularity, these fellas have. You understand what is that the Rowley Administration is a threat to the state country and that, and it is that the Minister of National Security is quoting criminal elements in the office. You and I wouldn't get that opportunity to even lay a crime plan. Lay a crime plan. And always tell us that only that was doing an attack.
This is required to do this. They are delivered at the Electoral on the Justice Act Police. The police too. And before us, what police is nothing but do is to negotiate any approachment with the law country that applies to any African bloc. And I say no more on that.
I know some of you will be the will crown as lion champion, like from all parts of the West Indies. They shot liars from all the foreign countries. From a meal about 1,000 of country in 2 days, people can leave just 3. I had me iron but they had a young and Tobago's best fisherman.
I know that
to land to get the brother Eric to give him a hand.
Only on together. Don't forget tomorrow morning. I see myself. Have a wonderful one. I'll see you.
Liar, the lion, he laughed till his sweaty, said Mr. Debo, ain't say nothing yet. If you really
The police is required to speak to every citizen in this country if the police sees it fit. Whether you are an abusing husband, a delinquent parent under the Truancy Act or otherwise, the police will speak to you and be authorized to speak to you. But what the police is not going to be authorized to do is to negotiate any